Hello friends, Bones here with another Halloween movie review. The best month of the year, October, is finally here! So I thought it would be the perfect time to review this cult Halloween film made for Halloween enthusiasts by Halloween enthusiasts. I'm talking about Trick or Treat, the movie that gave us our little mascot Sam, the enforcer of Halloween traditions. Sam is the brainchild of director Michael Dougherty, who first introduced the world to Sam in an animated short called Season's Greetings. First airing on TV in the late 90s, the short is only 4 minutes long and can be found on the DVD or on YouTube now. This proof of concept short gave Dougherty the chance to make a feature-length Halloween film for New Line Cinema. Now the film was ready for a fall 2007 release, but it ended up getting pushed back to 2008 because some parents in the test audience threw a fit about one of the flashback scenes being a story about kids getting murdered. After the movie was released as direct-to-DVD, it slowly gained popularity through word of mouth plus the internet and has since become a staple of Halloween, eventually winding up as a maze in Universal Studios' Halloween Horror Nights. A very entertaining one if I do say so myself. So let's find out why this movie gets such high praise and how it got controversy. Trick or Treat is a horror anthology film, but rather than show a bunch of disconnected stories, it shows 4 stories that intersect with each other from time to time in small ways. Technically 5 if you count the intro story featuring that sci-fi actor whose name I can never pronounce. It's easy for the movie to have the stories cross over as they're all set in this same average American town on the same Halloween night. The first story is called The Principal. It's about, well, a principal named Stephen Wilkins who's not too happy about this kid stealing candy, among people in general no longer caring about the origins of Halloween. There's actually another character in a different story who also knows about Halloween's origins. Rhonda is a shy, nerdy girl in another story who quickly summarizes Samhain.
Samhain, also known as All Hallows Eve, also known as Halloween. Predating Christianity, the Celtic holiday was celebrated on the one night between autumn and winter when the barrier between the living and the dead was thinnest and often involved rituals that included human sacrifice.
Great conversation topic there. Even though these two characters never meet, their presence shows that the filmmakers really did know about Halloween's origins and wanted that to be a theme of the film. Another theme that occurs throughout the film is that nothing is as it seems. Without getting too much into spoilers, this not only fits in with Halloween, but also makes for some pretty good twists in the stories. When you watch the film a second time, you can then see how the dialogue talks about the upcoming twist and makes perfect sense to it, but sounds perfectly like normal talk about what you assumed the characters were talking about the first time. Honestly, the twist ending to the Principal story is probably my favorite one. Coming back to that story, Principal Wilkins is actually the neighborhood serial killer. Bad news for the candy thief.
Always check your candy.
I probably should have warned you all about that exorcist scene. Sorry. But when you spend Halloween smashing other people's jack-lanterns and stealing candy and wearing that lazy-ass "this is my costume" shirt, you kinda have this death coming, you damn Halloween heathen. The rest of the story is mostly dark humor / horror comedy about Wilkins trying to hide the bodies of his Halloween victims while dealing with trick-or-treaters, the nosy neighborhood dog and his angry owner, and best of all, his very loud son.
Daddy! I'm back from trick-or-treating!
Billy, shh. Now go watch Charlie Brown, and I'll be in a minute.
Charlie Brown's an asshole!
If that was my kid, he'd get an ass whooping for such blasphemy. The second story is about a group of kids collecting jack-o'-lanterns for a tribute to the dead, but they're middle school kids, so you already know they're all assholes. The 4 kids recruit Rhonda, the girl I mentioned earlier, using Mr. Disney Channel here to charm her into joining them. When they do get to the old quarry outside of town, Macy, the leader of the group, tells them the story that got the movie shelved for a while. The Halloween School Bus Massacre. Basically, there was a small bus full of disturbed children, and one Halloween afternoon, the parents of those kids decided they had enough of them, so they paid the bus driver to plunge them off a cliff. But something goes wrong when one of the kids figures out what's going on. He breaks free and attempts to hijack the bus, but since he can't drive, he ends up sending the bus over anyway, killing every kid inside. The bus driver escapes with a minor scratch and then disappears. The backstory provides a scary and dramatic setup for the rest of this segment, but as you may have guessed, this backstory was the very reason the movie got shelved for a year. Parents were furious at the thought of any parent paying someone to kill their own kids. Come on guys, we're not saying that you would actually do that. It's a freaking movie! Movies can have bad parents in them. People are just too sensitive nowadays. Maybe parents are a bad audience for a horror movie in general, though. Rhonda does try to use her knowledge of Halloween to keep everyone safe, but thanks to the asshole kids being assholes, things still go awry. Without going too much into spoiler land, the story does great with the terror for both the fake-out and the real threat. Just watch and you'll see what I mean. We then come to our third story called Surprise Party. It's about a group of 4 college-age girls who are getting ready to go to a big party and help the most innocent girl of the group find a date. The other 3 apparently are hoes, while innocent girl Lori is trying to get laid tonight. Or is she? Like I said, nothing is what it seems. Little does Lori know, though, that a mysterious masked figure is stalking her. Who or what is he? Will Little Red Riding Hood once again become the victim? Or will the hunted become the hunter? Now I can see the inspiration for this story covering the aspect of Halloween about costumes and the modern trends of Halloween being a night of fun more than a night of respecting the dead and hiding from evil spirits. But it is the weakest of the stories. It feels lacking in the qualities that make the rest of the stories great. The attempts at suspense feel kind of forced and the characters aren't that interesting. The twist of the story is really a saving grace. It's not a predictable one, and it explains what the girls are really up to this Halloween night. But before I spoil any of the good twists, let's look at our final story. Meet Sam. The mascot from the cartoon short makes his live-action debut in this film and gets his own story. He appears in every story at key moments, but more so as an observer. In the opening story and in the final story, he takes direct action against this guy. He's Mr. Krieg, basically Halloween's version of Ebenezer Scrooge, but with less money. A grumpy old man who lives alone with his dog and hates everything to do with Halloween. The story gives us another perspective on one scene from the principal story, demonstrating how well the stories intersect with each other. It's one of the highlights of this film's qualities. Well, it turns out this Halloween night is the night that Sam decides to punish Krieg for all his years of being a Halloween Grinch. This story is great. It's creepy, it's suspenseful. You don't realize how scary or powerful Sam is until you see him viciously trying to kill Krieg here. It seems like a simple slasher affair until the ending reveals how the story ties to another story. It's a simple reveal that answers a lot of questions all at once. One being why Krieg hates Halloween so much. I'm not going into spoilers in this video, as I think the twists deserve to be seen without knowing what's coming ahead of time. If you couldn't tell, I too like this movie. It's a fantastic Halloween flick despite some flaws and some spots of weak writing. A great flick to watch on Halloween. If you like this review, then check out my previous reviews of these other Halloween flicks. The 2018 Halloween reboot, and the lesser known slasher movie that also came out in 2018, Hellfest. Happy Halloween!
Screw you!
You're a mean one, Mr. Krieg.